Coffee farming, coffee prices, and coffee quality has been a matter of past and recent interest. Today in our program, we are privileged to host a coffee enthusiast, a farmer, and an entrepreneur. My name is Presenter Nyash, but before we continue, kindly please subscribe and hit that bell so that you will be the first to watch our subsequent videos. This is Life Hacks. Welcome to another episode of Life Hacks, and today I'm having a guest here, an entrepreneur, a coffee enthusiast, an expert, and also a farmer. And today we are going to talk matters coffee farming, and you will actually be having a lot more from him. Thank you so much, and welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. First of all, start by introducing yourself, who you are, and then, of course, introduce the project that you are doing.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Benard Rugut, former manager, Cameo FCS. I want to begin by saying that when I resigned from Cameo FCS, I decided to start a company that is actually processing coffee, beginning from pulping to clean coffee, that's parchment.
All right, thank you so much. And so real quick, I'm saying that, of course, around I'm seeing you having a project, you've erected sort of a factory for doing that work. Briefly explain to us what came into your idea, and so that you had this in mind and started this.
The idea came to me when I was still a manager in a cooperative society. One of the challenges that we had was the shortage of facilities. So I realized that if we could have many facilities within, that is for processing coffee, we are actually going to have more quality coffee, because the farmers will be having several avenues or several factories where they can deliver their produce. So these factories will actually handle the coffee from the same farmers, the same quantity. So the facilities, because we have our facility here and our neighboring society has another facility, and other upcoming factories will erect their own facilities. So in the long run, we'll be processing or we'll be handling very few cherries. So the facilities will be enough, and that is where the quality will come from.
Let's talk about the coffee. Now that you want to do all these by yourself from your own perspective, there is a question that a lot of people have been asking me about coffee, the auction process. Can you talk a little bit about coffee process?
Okay, briefly, I want to start from the farm, where farmers are encouraged to practice all the coffee management practices like pruning, like weeding, removing of weeds, spraying to remove some pests, and so many other things. So that is where quality begins. Once we get the quality beans, the quality cherry from the farm, the pulping station like this will actually try to maintain the same quality by maybe erecting enough facilities, following the right procedures like fermenting and actually cleaning the coffee on time. And after that, the coffee is dried for a period of about 21 days or 14, depending on the weather conditions. But immediately after the coffee has dried to a certain moisture content that is preferred by the marketer, it is then removed from the drying beds and then taken to the miller. So after milling, we come up with the clean coffee now. That is after the miller. So from the farm, we get the cherry, and then after the cherry, in the factory we process and we come with coffee parchment. And then after the coffee parchment, we take to the miller, which in most cases the miller and the marketer is the same. So what happens actually is that the miller will process the coffee to come up with what we call clean coffee. Once the clean coffee is achieved, what will happen is that the same coffee shall be taken to the coffee market, that is the auction that you're talking about. So in the auction, it is actually done by the samples. So the marketer takes a sample of a coffee to the market, and when it is tasted in the market, and a buyer prefers your coffee for meeting the expectations that he or she has for the coffee, then it will actually demand for the whole lot.
Okay.
That is, like for example, you have about 50 bags, you take about 3 kilos, which is a sample of 50 bags that you have. So once you get the market, and then you agree on the prices, what will happen is that the coffee buyer, which in most cases come from abroad, once he or she is satisfied with the quality of the coffee that you have presented in the market, then you will be required to take the whole lot to the marketer. To the marketer. Yeah.
Now, so coffee prices depends on the quality of coffee.
Yeah, it depends majorly on the quality of coffee. There is nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so what determines this quality of coffee? What do you need to have in your coffee during the farming period? What do you need to have to do so that you make sure that your coffee is of good quality and that can really go up in the market?
Thank you. The coffee, actually, the quality of the coffee begins from the farm, from the farmer himself. So when the farmer has managed to practice all the farming practices, that is weeding, spraying, application of fertilizers on time, and picking on time. There is overripe and underripe, so we actually expect our farmers to pick their coffee on time. So after that, the farmer is done. The quality is achieved from the farm. Once in the facility like this, we actually do what we call maintenance of the quality that we got from the farm. But any miscalculation can ruin the quality that we got from the farm.
Okay.
So we need to pulp the coffee on the same day. It is brought by the farmer, fermented for about for about, let's say, 48 hours. If the weather is extreme, if the weather is cold, it's going up to 48 hours. But
extreme in terms of coldness?
Yeah, coldness. Yeah. So when it is cold, the number of hours that's fermented is high because the fermentation process is very slow.
Longer time.
Yeah. So once we do that, we actually clean the coffee by splashing a lot of water, and then it removes some sugars. So once that is done, it is taken to the drying beds, and if there is shortage of drying beds, there is something called soak tanks, where we store the coffee for a period of up to 14 days in the soak tanks, as we await the drying beds to be available. So once that is done, it is dried to the right moisture content, then it is taken to the miller. So with the miller, he also has to do very hasty milling, because the quality of coffee comes down as time goes by. So that is, the quality of coffee actually is a process. It is not something that you achieve once. It's a process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that you've said that it's not solely on the farm alone, it also depends on the process during which the coffee is being processed. Let's talk about prices, because does it mean that because here in Kipkelion West, let's say that, you can see that our prices were a bit down when you compare 2021, 2022
period, harvesting and processing period, our prices were a bit low. But when you try to see central region, they went up to 120, 130. But for us, I think we are around 101 or 102, the highest. What is the difference between us and them?
According to my analysis, we have only two differences. Number one is the quality. The central coffee's quality, maybe depending on the weather condition prevailing in those areas. And secondly, there is what we call certification. When I talk about certification, there is something, there are companies that do certification. So in our region, we have very few certified factories, an example being Kamungetwin. So when the coffee from a certified factory reaches the market, it actually differs from the coffee from the factory that has not been certified. So certification, when you go to central region, most of the factories, about 90% are certified, but ours are not certified.
So you mean certification catalyzes the price, because when the coffee is gone, it goes to the market, the person who is going to deal with it in the market knows that this coffee comes from a certified cooperative society.
Yeah,
So that is why it influences the price. That's what you're trying to say.
exactly.
So what do you think is the best way forward to help us have even more better prices going forward as an investor, entrepreneur who has ventured into this business?
The best we can do, actually, I can say is that we try as much as possible to follow all the guidelines given by the ministry on coffee husbandry. And then once we are done with that, because there are some things that are beyond our scope, like weather conditions. When you go to places, other places in central, they have 2 seasons in a year, picking seasons in a year. But with us, it's only once a year. So you can do nothing about that. You can do nothing about that. But there are some things that we have the ability to change. Like for example, when you talk about certification, it takes about 500,000 to get your factory certified. So if we can do that to catalyze the prices of our coffee, the better. But I urge our farmers actually to follow all the guidelines. When you talk about weeding, the right application of fertilizers, both the quantity and the type of fertilizer. Like for example, when you talk about CN fertilizer, CN actually does it has something to do with the coffee bean itself. It enlarges the coffee bean.
It impacts the bean itself.
Yeah, so that means it should be applied maybe 3 months, not even 3 months, a month after flowering. After the flower, we have the seed. So you apply the CN.
Okay.
And then we have things to do with NPK. NPK actually spurs the flowering. So the flowering actually is actually happening on, let's say, April or early or late March. So we should apply. We have rains on December and November. So if we can apply NPK, it's actually specified that you apply NPK 3 months before flowering. Yeah. So according to my calculation, if you can do on November or December, the better. So those are some of the things that I advise our members to do. And then these things to do with overripe and underripe, it's actually something very critical. When you take an overripe cherry to the factory, the quality itself is damaged. The quality has been undermined there. So we need to follow all the guidelines actually, so that we can achieve the best quality.
What you're trying to say is that farmers should also try not to be lazy in terms of picking and harvesting.
Yeah.
They should not be too quick to harvest or too late to harvest. Okay.
The same also impact the weight of the coffee. when you pick the coffee on the right time, that is when it weighs the highest. Overripe and underripe has less weight than the optimum ripe coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you follow these guidelines, the farmer will produce the best coffee. Yeah.
So now let's now talk now about your project. Let's go deeper into your project. Let me first know, when did you start this project, and how many are you in this project? Is it a sole project or is it a community project? Like, let's have a scope of this project and what you can urge the farmers out there about your project, or what is the step that this project can give, or something different from maybe other cooperative societies are giving, different from the others.
Thank you very much. This project actually, the idea of this project was conceived not early, mid last year, that is mid 2021, when I came to realize that the quality of our coffee is actually getting lost in the factory due to shortage of facilities like drying beds and a store. So I came up with this idea and I prepared myself for the same, and I shared the idea with some of my friends. They bought the idea, and then this project actually started this year, January, about 22nd of January. That is when I started delivering blocks for the construction of this facility. And it took me about 3 months or 3.5 around there. And then that was when the project was done. Even though I cannot say it is done, but it is in a point in time whereby it has started operations.
Okay.
Yeah. There is another question that you asked me.
It was what does this facility offer? Because now I know farmers have choices where to take their products. Why should they maybe consider bringing it into this facility? What are you offering different, or maybe something that you can add on to the farmers?
Thank you very much. Your question is a bit tricky, but I want to answer it this way. The building, the quality of a building depends on the foundation, and the foundation is an idea. So if I was the first idea that came to my mind was the quality. So that is my major commitment to actually train farmers on how to produce quality coffee from their farms. And then once that is done, as you have seen, we have managed to erect some facilities that will actually maintain the quality of the coffee that have been delivered by the farmers from their farms, and that will eventually fetch good prices. So what I can say different from other factories is actually that, as I have mentioned, the quality of anything depends on the mindset. What was in your mind before starting a project? So mine was quality, and the quality in terms of facilities, the quality in terms of extending services to farmers like trainings, facilities, having enough facilities, and then maybe bringing extension officers to the ground to train farmers practically, or not. Nowadays we have some Google, so most of the farmers are not literate enough to follow what
They could find on the
yeah,
internet.
they could find over the internet. So my aim actually is to train our farmers, our members, on good farming practices. There
Okay.
was a question on the ownership.
Yes.
This is a company called RORUMA Company.
Roruma.
Yeah,
Roruma.
RORUMA Company.
Okay.
So as the name suggests, we actually brought the initials of the names of the founders.
The shareholders.
So we have
and the
Rob,
founders. Okay.
we have Rugut, and we have Maritim. So that is giving us RORUMA.
Roruma.
Yeah, and it is actually a company that is trying to solve the problems that the coffee farmers have had in the past. Thank you.
Okay, that's very nice. That's very nice. I had a lot of questions when I was actually coming here. I had posted that I was going to have an interview, and I got a lot of questions in my inbox, and most of the questions actually were asking about the prices. Now that you've answered the reasons why maybe we are having our prices low from maybe other regions like Central, Kirinyaga, Nyeri. But there is another question actually that is more related to that prices thing. Others were asking your take on farmers feel that whatever is being, the price that is being auctioned at is not really what they are getting. They feel like there is something in between. What is your take on that?
Many people fail to understand the weight of the cherry. The cherry is the coffee that we bring from the farm to the factory. But what we sell in the market is clean bean. That is after pulping and after milling. So when we take the coffee to the miller, even before we take the coffee to the miller, we do the pulping and drying. So that is the cost. That we lose the weight. We lose the weight. Like for example, one tin weighs up to 3 kilos in the factory before being dried.
Yes.
But after being dried, it comes about half a kg. So after that, we take to the miller. After the miller, we remove the coffee husk.
So they now remain with the bean.
We remain with
So
the
it's
bean.
literally, it's like when you're clothed and when you are not clothed.
Yeah.
The kgs that one has.
Yeah. So that is where our people fail to understand. But actually, we lose a lot of weight in the coffee. When you talk about $400 per kg, per 50 bag,
Per 50 bucks.
$400 per 50 bag. Somebody start calculating from the 50 kgs he brought to the factory, forgetting that we dried the coffee, we bulbed, we removed the outer husk, and then we take to the miller, we remove another husk. That is the second layer, and we have that's why we have what we call milling loss. There is only a problem with the millers, whereby when you take your coffee to a certain miller, for example, you get maybe 23% milling loss. You take the same coffee to another miller, you get about 17. When you talk about 17, I am saying when you take your 100 kilos, you lose 17. Other millers will tell you their milling loss was 23. So you remain with 77. The other one was 83. This is 77. And it's the same coffee. So that is where we might be losing. But basically, I can say that our farmers actually have a very wrong conception in the first place. But when you go to the miller himself, the miller has got some problem of their own. Because the milling loss is something that is calculated. It's something, it's not machine generated. It's something that's generated by the production manager. So it depends on the miller itself. If it wants to take your coffee, if it wants to steal your coffee, it can steal one by increasing the milling loss. Even if your coffee was at 16% milling loss, it can declare it 23. By that, it has your about 7 kgs of your coffee. So that is where we lose, because when we lose these 7 kilos, it will actually take you a lot of time. It will take you a lot of energy to fill the 50 kg bag that is going to fetch $400 in the market. So that is where theft begins. But I want our members, first of all, to, not even members, everybody that is interested in the coffee sector, to bear in mind that we lose weight in the process of the coffee. We lose weight. 1 kg of coffee that you have today, even if it is not bulked, will not be 1 kg tomorrow. It will be less than, because it will lose some water. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification. So let's say the way forward, literally in the best language that they can understand, because with these statistics of losing 17 during, most of the farmers are not privileged to understand that concept. Generally, in a simpler language that you can really make, how can you just summarize this whole thing of prices in the best simple words to the farmer, so that they really understand what happens?
Generally, I advise the farmers to, as I had mentioned before, make sure that they bring or they produce quality cherry. Once that is done and is delivered to a factory of their choice, the factory will actually try to maintain the quality.
So now wrapping this off, what can you say on the projection or what you see in the near future in the coffee sector, coffee industry, especially regarding this larger region of Caribbean West? What can you say about it, and what is your last advice to a farmer out there in the region?
My advice to the farmer is that the coffee farming is actually paying. So I advise the farmers that we actually try to produce as much as possible to the best of our ability, because as we can see, the market is actually on the uptrend. The market of the coffee, there is no single day that our coffee has failed to sell in the market. So especially the youths, the future, the future of our future actually lies in the coffee farming, and if we can do as much as possible to make sure that we produce the best we can, because I don't say that we must be having several trees so that we have several food production. Even the little that you have, make sure that you produce the best quality. When I talk about quality, the quality also goes hand in hand with the quantity. You cannot have a quality coffee with low quantity. So when you have big quantity, big or high quality, it's actually directly proportional to the quantity. So I advise our farmers to produce coffee in big proportions, in large quantities, so that we actually compete with the rest of the world in both the prices, the quality, and the quantity. When I talk about the quantity, I am saying that much money comes into your pocket. The same way with the quality. So when we have good quality, we are going to get good prices in the market. And when we have good prices in the market and you had a right quantity or large quantity, that means you have a lot of money in your pocket. That's my advice to the farmers in the region, especially, and I'm actually measuring on the youths, because the youths at the moment have a problem to do with the capital to start their business. So coffee can provide capital. And I generally want to advise my fellow youths that being employed cannot earn you a lot of money compared to the production. When you produce something, as at the moment we're talking about coffee, we have other projects like poultry projects, we have dairy projects, even though we have a problem with the market of the milk in the region, but still it can cut you it can cut the cost of maybe buying milk and things like that. So I advise our youth to actually stop looking for jobs and measure their brains or minds in production of something, be it poultry, be it coffee, be it anything. So long as you are producing, you are likely to be wealthier than the person that has been employed. Thank you very much.
Unemployment has been a very big issue right now, especially among the youth. You've heard the answers there, and agriculture and farming seems to be the only way out of creating yourself a job opportunity. That has been Life Hacks, but before we conclude the show, remember that you have to subscribe, hit that bell so that you are the first one to get or to receive our subsequent content or videos. My name is Presenter Nyash. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful time.